All right, Miles, let's talk about the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins have been in the news recently for a lot of very interesting reasons, but I think the real theme of what we're going to try and talk about today is that there's a lot of debate and questions around Tua and how good is he? Is he the long-term answer at quarterback? How good of a player is he? Is he the guy that can take the Dolphins back to the promised land? And we've got a report that I think really outlines how special this kid really is, and in fact is even much better than probably his biggest fans could have even imagined.
Yeah, Nick, and we all kind of got the feeling that Tua was going to be good. Everyone said the adage, tank for Tua. It was a pretty obvious draft choice at the time it was made. But there's a lot of not so obvious draft choices. Maybe go as far to say a draft steal in Dolphins history. Some guys that maybe slipped through the cracks, landed in the Dolphins' hands, and turned out to be really solid players for them. And that's what we want to know today in the comments below. Let us know who your favorite Dolphins draft steal has been, and make sure to stay tuned to the end of today's video to hear word from the partner of today's video, Neuro. But Nick, let's hear about how good Tua is.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of interesting news and rumors floating around this week involving the Miami Dolphins. I think Tom Brady came out and said some very interesting comments that I wouldn't put any stock in about him potentially maybe considering a comeback to Miami. I don't think that's happening. I think that's Brady just poking the bear and the media just really running with it, of course. But I don't think that's happening. I think the focus for the Miami Dolphins organization, as it has been for the better part of a year, has been involved with Tua getting everything he needs to be successful, building him up and making sure he comes back with his concussions A-OK. And that's really the main priority for the Miami Dolphins, because Tua, when he's healthy, isn't just good, isn't just very good, isn't just elite. He is downright special. He obliterates the crowd when you look at his next level analytics and you look at the data and see how special this guy is. Miles, if you can go ahead and throw up a chart. This is from Warren Sharp over at Sharp Analytics. Great follow. Highly recommend it for anyone on Twitter. Puts up a lot of great data. Fully recommend this guy. And he looked at efficiency at quarterbacks last season in terms of how many times you attempted passes further than 5 yards down the field versus how efficient you were on those passing attempts. Right. So obviously the way it works, right, the more you attempt downfield passes, the adage would be you drop in efficiency a little bit, right? It's like the Brett Favre effect. You keep gunslinging the ball down the field. Eventually you'll throw a lot of interceptions. You have a lot of incomplete passes that'll bring down your efficiency. And so he picks that sort of 5-yard barrier because everything underneath that is considered a check down, a screen, a quick hitch, a quick slant, or things like that. So we stuck with 5 yards, which I think is the right move. And when you look at this graph, Miles, I think the very first thing you can realize is that Tua is all alone. You can almost barely even see him because everyone else is sort of clustered around the middle. Yeah. Tua's top right. He is far beyond anybody else remotely in terms of how often he threw the ball down the field and how efficient he was. And that's just against every possible norm. That should not happen. The adage in football, and it goes back to the 80s with Bill Walsh and the West Coast offense and the San Francisco 49ers, was the more you throw the football short, the better rhythm you get in throwing the football short, the more efficient you are as an offense. And the more you throw it down the field, the more aggressive you are, the less efficient you are. That's basically been modern NFL football the past 4 decades. Rhythm passes, set up the short game, and take a few shots downfield when the moment is there. Don't overemphasize the downfield passing attack. Tua and this Miami Dolphins offense completely blew that up, Miles. And if you can transfer to kind of the next chart here, or not the next chart, I'm sorry, the next tweet from Sharp, when he just really goes into it very clearly if the chart was too much information. And I'm just throwing up the tweet here. If you look at the numbers, Tua threw 64% of his passes 5+ yards downfield. That's the highest rate in the NFL out of 29 QBs with over 300 attempts. When he threw 5+ yards downfield, he was number 1 in expected points added per attempt. That's just efficiency. He was number 1 in success rate, another efficiency metric. He's number 1 in first down rate, pretty self-explanatory there. Number 1 in yards per passing attempt. Again, that's my favorite metric. And number 1 in passer rating, which we're all, of course, familiar with. Miles, this is absolutely crazy because if you look at the guys he's outclassed, you look at Josh Allen, you look at Mahomes, look at Joe Burrow, every elite or so-called elite quarterback in the NFL isn't even in Tua's ballpark when in terms of how often they're trusted to throw the ball down the field and how efficient they are when they do it. Give me your thoughts on all this analytics and everything with the Dolphins and Tua right now.
Yeah, Nick, I think the most important thing is when you look at the chart, I think when you first sent the chart, I couldn't even find Tua because he was so far away from everywhere else. It's like, he was hidden out there. And it's really crazy because, like you said, the more you throw downfield, the less efficient you should be. But it's almost like the more Tua throws downfield, the more efficient he should be. So are we coining the East Coast offense now? The most efficient downfield passer ever. So it's really a staggering. It's almost like you said. It's kind of unbelievable to see exactly it's very unprecedented. This McDaniel Tua combination has been something very special. And like you said, if Tua can be healthy, he's elite plus at the very least. So I think this is really interesting metric, some really interesting stats to bring up to look in on Tua from, because people don't give him the credit that is due. I think that's the big thing here, is a lot of people kind of crap on him because he got injured. He got a bad concussion. Like, that's really not anything that he can help. He's doing everything that can help. He's taking the judo classes. He's actually put on some size this offseason. If you see him, his legs look like actual tree trunks, and then on top of that, he's looking into more helmets and stuff like that he can wear to help prevent concussions. So I think he's doing everything he can. He can't really help that he did or didn't get a concussion, and you can't discount how truly special he was, especially this last year, with all of the stats, all the numbers, because those are truly the things you want to look at.
Yeah, 100%. I'll leave you with one more stat, Mice, to really put in context how good Tua was last year when he was healthy. So according to Warren Sharp, again, Tua averaged 11.7 yards per attempt when throwing at least 5 yards downfield. That's the third highest number out of any quarterback since the year 2000. Again, the past 23 seasons of NFL football, that's a number 3 number. The only 2 guys ahead of him was Aaron Rodgers in 2011 when he won the MVP in one of the greatest seasons a quarterback has ever had, and Drew Brees in 2006 when Drew Brees finished second in the MVP voting. That was the Sean Payton offense being introduced to the NFL and took the NFL world by storm for the New Orleans Saints. That is the level Tua is at when he is healthy. And that's something that's right up there, like I said, with the Aaron Rodgerses, with the Drew Brees. That's just not good. That's just not very good. That's just not franchise quarterback. That's all-time great stuff. And I think all this chatter, all this conversation about, maybe we should consider Tom Brady, or should the Dolphins move off Tua, or what should they do with Tua? I understand the concussion concerns are there. But when he is healthy and when he is on the field, he is all-time great stuff. The data doesn't lie here. I truly believe it, because every conceivable metric, we went down through a bunch of them, shows how good this guy is in those kind of situations. He literally breaks the mold. And if Tua is healthy, I expect more of the same next season. And if I'm a Dolphins fan, these numbers should just reinforce the fact that Tua is your guy and should be your guy going forward.
All right, Miles, we would like to give a special thanks to our partner today's video, Neuro.
That's right, Nick. And I want you to go with me on a journey really fast. I want you to imagine this. It's 4th and goal in the big game, Nick. Your team is relying on you to make the big-time game-winning play. I know you've been in this situation before, Nick. The stadium is roaring. The clock is ticking. The game is on the line. But if only in that moment you were able to have some Neuro Gum. Neuro Gum will help you stay concentrated, and it gives you a burst of energy without a nasty crash.
That's right, Miles. Neuro has thoughtfully curated ingredients and does endless lab testing, which means that you can reach the right state of mind safely and consistently. That's the most important part. It gives you a clean burst of energy and focus without the jitters of coffee or any of those other energy drinks.
That's right, Nick. And if you click our sponsor link in the description below, you can enjoy energy, calm, and focus whenever you need it.